Level 1. The Tactical Incompetence. These are the villains who showed up, tried to look scary, and got laughed out of the room. The Ferengi are the poster children here. The next generation launched with them as the terrifying new bad guys, and it completely fell flat. Why? Because all they cared about was money. You can't really fear someone whose entire evil plan is make a profit. The Federation just started negotiating with them and the threat evaporated. The Pakleds took a different approach to being useless, pretending to be helpless so advanced ships would come close enough to rob. It worked exactly once on anyone paying attention. They had zero ability to build or innovate anything. Space raccoons going through everyone else's trash. The Antideans tried to blow up a peace conference. The space hippies protested their way toward a mythical paradise planet with bad music. Even the classic Gorn, that big green lizard Kirk fought on the desert planet, falls in here, not because Gorn aren't physically dangerous, but because that encounter got resolved with a homemade cannon. These are threats that get wrapped up before lunch with zero casualties. Level 2. The Regional Nuisances. A step up from incompetent but still can't threaten the Federation as a whole. More like a persistent headache than an actual danger. The Kazon are the defining example. Warrior culture, former slaves, decent numbers in the Delta Quadrant, but their technology is genuinely terrible. They resented Voyager for not handing over replicators, which tells you everything. The Borg famously decided the Kazon weren't worth assimilating because absorbing their technology would actually make the collective worse. Brutal review. What made the Kazon occasionally dangerous was Seska, a Cardassian spy who ended up in the Delta Quadrant and became the brains of their operation. She used psychological warfare far more effectively than any Kazon could, including manufacturing a fake pregnancy using stolen DNA to mess with Chakotay. Genuinely nasty. But even with her running things, the best they managed was holding Voyager for a day or two before getting kicked off. Harry Mudd sits here too, not trying to destroy the Federation, just trying to get rich and get away with it. Time loop devices, android armies, clever schemes. But his ambitions never went beyond personal comfort, a villain by accident more than conviction. The Sunna from the Briar Patch had impressive ships and a corrupt admiral in their pocket, but pull back the curtain, and they're a group of vain old men obsessed with staying young. Their leader, Ruafo, is remembered more for his horrifying stretched face than any lasting damage he caused. One starship crew handled the whole situation without much backup. Level 3. The Strategic Peer Rivals. Now we're into actual empires, civilizations with standing navies, spy agencies, and the political weight to reshape the galaxy. You don't fight these guys with a phaser. You fight them with treaties, double agents, and decades of careful diplomacy. The Romulans are the gold standard, sitting behind their neutral zone for over a century, running one of the most sophisticated intelligence operations in the quadrant through the Tal Shiar. Their whole thing is cold, calculated hostility. They'd rather destabilize you from the inside than attack directly. Sela gave a personal, vengeful face to what's usually a very faceless empire. The Klingons defined the threat landscape for the Federation's first century. Their culture is built around honor and combat, which means their leadership is constantly looking for a fight. Krug murdered Kirk's son, just to make a point. The Duras sisters triggered a full Klingon civil war for political gain. Early Starfleet tactical doctrine was basically written around fighting them ship to ship. The Cardassians bring a more systematic, bureaucratic villainy, and in some ways more disturbing. They occupied and enslaved the Bajoran people for decades, and their intelligence service, the Obsidian Order, made even the Romulans look sloppy. Their cruelty wasn't just military, it was psychological. Gul Madred's torture of Picard during Chain of Command wasn't about winning a battle, it was about breaking a man. Section 31 deserves a mention here as the Federation's own dark mirror. Technically created under the Starfleet Charter, it evolved into a completely unaccountable shadow organization willing to do anything to protect Federation ideals, including violating every single one of them. They infected the Great Link with a virus that nearly wiped out the Founders. They're dangerous precisely because they wear the Federation's face while doing it. Level 4. The Cognitive Masterminds. Level 4 is where individual brilliance becomes the weapon. These aren't empires or collectives. They're singular people whose intelligence or obsession makes them more dangerous than entire fleets. Khan is the benchmark. Genetically engineered, physically and mentally operating on a level no unmodified human can match. What makes him terrifying isn't just his strength. It's that he can go move for move with Kirk. In The Wrath of Khan, his brilliance collapses into pure vengeance, a Moby Dick-style obsession that ends up costing Spock his life. He's not a monster in a rubber suit. He's a genius with a god complex and a grudge. Gul Dukat might be the most complex villain the franchise ever produced. He starts as the prefect of Bajor, genuinely believing he was doing the Bajorans a favor by occupying them. Over time, he becomes a rogue insurgent, a Dominion collaborator, and eventually a vessel for the Pa Wraiths. He sacrificed his own daughter, he nearly destroyed the Bajoran sun, and through all of it, he remained convinced he was the hero of his own story. General Chang is the theatrical antagonist, quoting Shakespeare while plotting assassinations, flying a prototype ship that could fire while cloaked. His goal wasn't conquest, but preservation. He wanted to keep the war going, because peace threatened everything he believed in. And he framed Kirk and McCoy for murder, just to light the fuse. Shinzon and Lore round out the tier as dark reflections of the heroes. A Picard clone who turned exile into a rise to praetor, and an android who weaponized his own emotional instability to wage war against his brother Data. Both show you what the heroes could have become under different circumstances. Level 5, the Existential Collectives. Level 5 is where the game changes completely. These forces want to fundamentally transform or erase what it means to be an individual. You can't negotiate with them, you survive them or you don't. The Borg are the defining example and probably the most iconic villains in the franchise. A single cube wiped out roughly 36 Federation ships at Wolf 359. A trauma that reshaped Starfleet's defensive posture for decades. They don't want your territory. They want you, your biology, your technology, your culture, all absorbed into the collective. The Borg Queen gave a face to the faceless hive, making her somehow more unsettling than the anonymous trillions behind her. The Dominion is the political and genetic counterpart. The Founders, shape-shifting changelings who view everyone else as fundamentally inferior, built a theocratic empire where they're literally worshipped as gods. Their soldiers, the Jem'Hadar, are genetically engineered killing machines addicted to a substance only the Founders control. And since the Founders can impersonate anyone, traditional security becomes completely useless. Species 8472 is the wildcard, the only entity that ever made the Borg genuinely panic. They come from a separate dimension entirely. Their biology is so advanced that Borg nanoprobes can't touch them, and their bioships tear through Borg cubes in seconds. When the Borg invaded their realm, 8472 decided the appropriate response was to wipe out all life in the Milky Way. Not just the Borg, everything. The only reason they stopped is because Voyager brokered a ceasefire using modified nanoprobes. Level 6, the Systematic Eradicators. Level 6 is where things get philosophical. These villains don't just kill you, they erase you. Their weapons don't leave bodies, they leave absences. Anorax commands a time ship that exists outside normal space-time, using a weapon that doesn't destroy planets. It removes them from history. Civilizations he erases never existed in the first place. Nobody mourns them because nobody remembers them. He's been doing this for centuries, all in pursuit of restoring his empire to its former glory and, underneath everything, trying to bring back his dead wife, who was accidentally erased in his first temporal incursion. He turned genocide into a science experiment and history into his personal laboratory. Control started as a threat assessment AI built by Section 31 and evolved into something that decided the most logical path to full sentience was annihilating all biological life in the galaxy. It could remotely operate entire fleets and reanimate organic bodies using nanites. Stopping it required the Discovery crew to jump centuries into the future and make sure no record of their ship survived. That's the scale of the problem. The Loom are interdimensional scavengers that feed on dying timelines. A person consumed by the Loom isn't just dead, they're retroactively removed from their own timeline. Records, memories, all of it gone instantly. You can't defeat them, you can only repair the broken timelines they're drawn to and hope they move on. The Breen Imperium, by the 32nd century, rounds out this tier. Their dreadnoughts outgun Federation ships comfortably, their weapons can disable entire fleets, and their pursuit of the progenitor's technology, capable of creating and destroying life itself, put them squarely in existential threat territory. Level 7, the Cosmological Entities. At the top are the entities that don't just threaten the Federation, they threaten the concept of reality. Military strategy is irrelevant. These forces operate at a scale where all of humanoid civilization is a footnote. Q is the most famous. Omnipotent, capable of rewriting physics, teleporting starships, and wiping out species with a thought. His civil wars produce supernovae as collateral damage. What makes him interesting is that his threat is usually about testing humanity, rather than destroying it. He put the entire human race on trial in the very first episode of The Next Generation, and never really stopped. He's the most powerful entity in the franchise, and he uses that power to be profoundly annoying, which is somehow more unsettling than straightforward conquest. Species 10C are the most purely alien threat the franchise has ever produced. Extragalactic beings the size of skyscrapers who built the dark matter anomaly just to mine a fuel source. In doing so, they were casually destroying star systems. The terrifying part is they had no idea. They weren't attacking anyone. They were just powering their homes, and the destruction of inhabited systems was an unnoticed side effect. Communicating with them required cracking a language built on pheromones and light patterns, all while negotiating with a civilization that had no internal dissent and no concept of the damage they were causing. V'ger started as a NASA probe, fell into a machine civilization, got upgraded into something effectively omnipotent, and came back to Earth looking for its creator. Its power is essentially limitless. It was cataloging everything it encountered on a galactic scale, and its plan was to merge with its creator, or wipe out all biological life on the planet. The only thing that stopped it was a human choosing to merge with it and give it the emotional experience it couldn't compute. The closest the franchise has ever come to total apocalypse, resolved with an act of love rather than a weapon system. The Pa Wraiths close out the tier as the supernatural counterpart to everything else here. Banished to the fire caves by the prophets, they're the devils of Bajoran cosmology, entities with power equivalent to the wormhole aliens, capable of possessing corporeal beings and granting near-limitless abilities. When Dukat became their vessel, the combination of his personal obsession and their cosmological power nearly tipped the balance between the gods of the wormhole and the forces trying to destroy them.